Hello and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time visiting, hello! I'm Onyie and this is Onyie Sings. Thank you so much for stopping by. And if you're returning, welcome back! Yay! And thank you so much for coming back. So today's lesson, how to find a good vocal coach for you. So considering what's happening in the world right now, for a lot of us, things are a little different when it comes to finding a coach or a teacher right now, which is totally fine. There are great options. And for the most part, you still want to look for the same things that you would look for any other time of the year, any other time in history. So one of the first things we look for is geography. We want to find a teacher who's somewhere near you. Much like finding a gym, you want to find a teacher that allows you easy access so that you don't have that excuse of, oh, they're too far, I'm not going to go. However, because of the period that we are in right now, depending on the country you're living in, for many of us, we don't have the in-person option right now for finding a voice teacher. Online is totally great, and it actually gives you even more options. You have a huge catalog of teachers to choose from, which is awesome. But along with those options, you want to be responsible in the way you find a teacher. It's even more important that you're careful about how you choose a teacher. Even though you have so many options, not all of them are right for you. So you want to definitely find one that is good for you. So the next thing you might want to look for is budget. Budget isn't one of those things that people often bring up, but it is something that you do have to consider. And especially, again, right now, a lot of us are really having to keep an eye on our wallets and really stay tight to that budget. So it is important that you find a teacher that is not going to bankrupt you, but is also worth your while. Not every inexpensive teacher is going to be great, but not every super expensive teacher is either. By way of budget, I don't just mean find somebody that you can afford, but find somebody that you can afford regularly. Somebody that you think you can afford for the long term. Ultimately, you want to find a teacher that you're going to hang out with for a while. The idea is that you want to progress and grow in the studio with that teacher. Staying with one teacher who can actually log your progress and actually show you logs and show you examples. If you stick with one teacher for a while, you're able to actually go back and track your progress with such materials as notes, logs, recordings. It makes it a lot easier to trust that there is progress being made. And next we have background. It is very, very important to know the background of the teacher that you want to work with. You want to make sure that they have an education in their background. So in a previous video, I made mention of singers who teach because they can sing.
There are so many coaches who are singers who are teaching because they can sing. And there's a difference between teaching, singing, and being able to sing. Students who ask you questions you've never...
So the struggle there, definitely find a teacher who has something of a background in education, specifically voice education. And the reason I say that is because if you don't fully understand the anatomy of the voice, it's very easy to make very dangerous mistakes. As a teacher, we have a great responsibility to our students, and we carry a lot of responsibility in holding your voice in our hands. I take that very seriously as a teacher. I would hope any other voice teacher would, but I do know that not everyone does. And you definitely want to be with a voice teacher who takes the voice very seriously. And that might seem like, oh, well, they're not going to be fun. And I like to think I'm an example of no, you can still have a good time with a teacher who takes the voice very seriously. There's less of a chance that that teacher will damage your voice or hurt your voice in any way, thoughtlessly especially. So you definitely want to find a teacher who has a background in understanding how the voice works, understanding the musculature of the voice, and understanding how to take care of it as well. A teacher with a great background, a teacher with a great education and voice is not going to be afraid to tell you no, and is not going to be afraid to tell you the truth, because we know ultimately that it will take care of your voice. On to the next one. Next we have teaching style or method. Mainly what I think of when I'm talking about that is teachers who teach specific singing methods. Definitely make sure that you know what the method is, that you know that they have an education in that method, and that hopefully they've been teaching it for a while. They can speak to the effectiveness of the method. There are also people who took one speech level singing class and now are teaching that method, as it were, in the way they teach. And they're calling it that without accreditation. Is that the word? Accreditation? Yeah. So it's always like a little iffy if you're dealing with somebody who says that they teach a specific method but don't necessarily have an education in that method. Definitely make sure that if you are going to work with a teacher who specializes in a particular method of voice, know that method. Make sure it will work for you. Make sure it is something that you can find interest in and something that you feel safe working with. And next, along the lines of teaching style, you definitely want to also look into the teacher's personality. You want to find a teacher who meshes with you. You might have to go through a few teachers before you find one. If the first teacher you find or the second or third teacher you find doesn't click, do not give up. So just like in life, relationships tend to do better when people have things in common, can work well together, enjoy each other's company. Same with taking voice. You want a teacher who works well with your personality so that you're able to learn from them, grow with them, enjoy their company, and go back over and over again. Ultimately, you want to go back to that teacher regularly. So if you don't enjoy their company, you're not going to want to go to the lesson. We definitely don't want students giving up on singing or giving up on voice lessons because of a bad experience with one teacher. Give yourself time to find somebody that works for you and works with you. It is a relationship and it is something that takes time to cultivate. However, there are certain things that you can already tell from jump that you will already know this isn't going to work. When personalities clash, then you tend to stop going to lessons. You start having reasons to not show up. If that is happening, you just need to find a different teacher. And that doesn't mean that the teacher that you were working with is bad. It doesn't mean that every great teacher is going to work well for you either. Make sure that it is somebody that you enjoy taking lessons from. It might seem like, is it a big deal that I like my teacher? Like, I don't often like my teachers. Yes, but in voice, for private voice lessons, you should enjoy your teacher. Yes. It's not like school. This is something you do have a choice in, and it is something you will definitely not do if you don't like the teacher. Better to set yourself up for success and be with a teacher who works well with you. Some ways to find voice teachers. You can always Google. I know that goes without saying, but you can Google voice studios in your area. Even if right now nobody's doing in-person teaching, at least you know that in the future that might be available to you. There's a likely chance they're offering online voice lessons in the meantime. Another great resource for finding voice teachers are schools. And for freelance private voice teachers like myself, we have to use platforms like Craigslist and YouTube and all sorts of different social media platforms and things like that to reach out and find students. But even as a freelance voice teacher myself, I can say it is especially important when working with a freelance voice teacher that you consider all the things we discussed today and finding a great one for yourself. If you have more questions about how to find a voice teacher or if a voice teacher that you're considering is a good one or any of those kind of things, as always, please feel free to leave your questions, comments, concerns, requests in the comments below. Thank you so much for coming by today. I hope you learned something. I hope it gave you confidence in finding a voice teacher. It can be an incredibly fulfilling journey and experience in having a voice teacher. And if you find the right one, it can really change your voice and your life. Best of luck in your search for a voice teacher. Once again, thank you so much for coming by. And if you enjoyed this lesson, like, share, and say hello there. Bye. Next, along the lines of teaching style and... why did I do that? The words aren't coming together because I can't breathe.